We are now 2 weeks in, and Obamacare is dealing with some political problems, there's no question, but it's dealing with practical problems as well, and they're starting to overshadow the political ones. Tech experts say it could take a long time to fix the glitches that people are experiencing when they try to sign up online. Senior medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen has been trying to set up an account, and she is getting nowhere fast. Elizabeth, it turns out it's not about you, is it?
No, it's not about me. Now, I've been doing this just as a journalistic endeavor, but many other people, they really need health care insurance, and they say that they're really frustrated that this isn't working for them.
Folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. There you go, CNN with a report a few days ago, written up and video provided by our friend Noel Sheppard, associate editor of Newsbusters.org. He wrote about this at Newsbusters. Hey, Noel, how are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
I am fine. It's Friday. You're here. I mean, what could be better?
I'm with you. What could be better?
All right. So there you go. I mean, you know, we're finding these isolated incidents of, and maybe they're growing, of reporting on the truth that this Obamacare, you know, sign-up process is virtually impossible.
Exactly. And what's interesting here, and we talked about this last week about how kind of surprised we both were that you had outlets like ABC, CBS, and NBC and CNN actually coming down strongly about how poorly this has rolled out. And what's also been interesting is they've been mocking Republicans for shutting down the government, saying that if the government hadn't have been shut down, there'd be more attention on how poorly Obamacare is going. And I suggest that it might actually be the opposite. The fact that you had Republicans, holding the debt ceiling and holding the continuing resolution up as a result of Obamacare, I think it's actually brought more attention to the problems in the website. So I realize that conceivably seems counterintuitive and it's going against the media spin. But I actually think what Cruz and Lee and others did in here, it may have even forced the media to be more honest about this train wreck.
Yeah,
and I don't know whether you saw in the Huffington Post, they actually had a headline talking about how this is nearing it's a train wreck at the Huffington Post.
Yeah, no. That is something to say. You also wrote on the other side, although MSNBC at the beginning, they had someone who tried, and you wrote about this, and we talked about this, I think, 2 weeks ago, someone who tried to sign up and finally gave up. But the other day, today, on Scarborough's show, Friday morning's Joe, they put a chyron. If we could put up number 20, Will, for those watching at Newsmax TV, you could see it. I'll just describe it. They put a chyron up. You had the former press secretary, Robert Gibbs, on half of the screen, and it said, failure to launch, missed messages, GOP flubs Obamacare launch. Now explain that one.
Well, first, it's just MSNBC. I mean, they really... And they're not even hiding it at this point, and they haven't been for a while. Now, in fairness to them, there was discussion about how what we were talking about earlier, about how if the government hadn't been shut down, the Republicans might have been actually able to play the Obamacare train wreck better. But at the same point, to have that chyron on the screen, GOP flubs Obamacare launch. I mean, my goodness, it's just, Phil Griffin must be awfully proud.
You mean Phil Griffin, who wanted a recount or proof that Megyn Kelly's show really had the ratings it had compared to Rachel Maddow and Phil Griffin, who calls, as you wrote about also, and let's talk about this, calls Chris Matthews a national treasure. That Phil Griffin?
That Bill Griffin, yeah, a national treasure. I mean, well, let's go to the first one first. So last Tuesday, not this past Tuesday, the Tuesday last week, the second day of Megyn Kelly's new show, she had an explosion in viewers. happen to see him on Mars' show last Friday?
No, well, no, but I did see some of the things you wrote about it. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, he was so dismissive of the other guests. It was just, I mean, especially James Glassman, and James should have punched him.
Yeah, well, now yesterday he wanted to know if Republicans still count blacks as 2/3 of a person. He's just
nice.
totally out of control.
He's totally out of control. That's a national treasure. Saying something.
Yeah. We're talking Noel Sheppard, associate editor at Newsbusters.org here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Let's stick with MSNBC. Sean Duffy. You wrote about this, of course, and Sean Duffy last week really took it to Andrea Mitchell and said, why don't you ask this question about health care? Why don't you ask why they don't have the same coverage? Why don't you ask why he won't delay the individual mandate? Why don't you ask these questions? He really, really took it to Andrea Mitchell and, as you said, decimated her. But he was on with Mika Brzezinski on Morning Joe, and here in Cut 21, he was at it again. And then we should point out, Congressman Sean Duffy, Republican from Wisconsin. Here's 21.
And listen, and Mika, I got to tell you, Mika, my mom is a good liberal, and she loves you, and she's happy I'm on your show. But I think you're part of the problem. And you're part of the problem because the Republican caucus sometimes can be unreasonable, but look how far we've moved. We said we want to defund it. Okay. Now we're going to delay it. And now we're just going to ask for some very simple tweaks and reforms. And if you actually called out your liberal guests and said, why won't you join Obamacare? If it's good for America, it should be good for you. So why, listen, if an American family can't sign up on the website, why are you going to tax them? That's not right.
You have a lot of good questions.
A lot of good questions, and then she went on to make excuses. But he should be working for Newsbusters on the side when he's not sitting in Congress.
What is it about Wisconsin? I mean, it really is. I mean, you've got this guy, you've got Paul Ryan, you've got Walker. I mean, maybe we ought to just make that, the capital seat of our country. To move it from D.C. and put it in Wisconsin, imagine how much better our nation would be.
Absolutely. Let's finish up with, another political genius. I don't know. Her and Barbara Streisand should team up and hit the road for good. And Cher, actually Cher too.
And Cher.
Yeah. So here's Bette Midler. With a tweet. We're going to put it up on the screen. We actually did this yesterday after you wrote about it at newsbusters.org. And Bette Midler tweets, what a humiliating waste of time and energy this shutdown has been. The House GOP are as bad as the Taliban. Now, I have a guest coming up next hour who actually has been threatened. Her life has been threatened by the Taliban. She knows what life under the Taliban is like. I can't wait to show her this tweet. These people on the left, they are just so loose with their language, and it's such a horrific thing. But, the media loves it, and they repeat it.
It's kind of sad. I mean, in Midler's case, I don't know about you, but I used to be a big fan. I mean, I thought she was an extraordinary talent as a singer. And she's been in some movies that are some of my favorite films, in particular, Down and Out in Beverly Hills. And
come on, I saw you crying at beaches. Come on.
No. That's no, you're right. Right. Actually, it begins with a B and ends with an S, but that's not what was making me cry. But and Ruthless People, she was absolutely spectacular in that film.
Yeah.
But what is it about most of these Hollywoodans? That not only do they have these views, I mean, it seems to me, it seems to me that if I was in Hollywood, that I would have an agent that would say, please keep your mouth shut about this stuff. We're going to be able to get you a lot more jobs. We're going to be able to get you better jobs if you stay totally agnostic as it pertains to politics.
I think, no, you hit it on the head there. But I think the problem is, and I got to wrap, I think, is that, and you know this better than I, that you get any job you want if you're a leftist on the, and if you come out on the right and say something, then your career gets limited in Hollywood.
I don't know. It's very, very sad when they talk about our representatives are like the Taliban.
Yeah, that's insane. Hey, Noel, always love it. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
You too, sir.
Thank you, Noel Sheppard, ladies and gentlemen, associate editor of Newsbusters.org. When we come back, we're going to go spinning the law back to back with Noel Sheppard, Kendall Coffey on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.